Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Bunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us today. On this episode of Red Carpet, we have an exhibition of African fashion in London. Japan's hip-hop queen Awich and a poet laureate in Virginia is inspiring young and the old. Let's get on with the show. And let's start the show with some highlights of the latest entertainment news from around the world. And we begin with film news. South African video on-demand service Showmax is set to release its fantasy epic Blood Psalms, a drama series set in ancient Africa. The cast includes the star of Insindingo and Keeping Score, Bokang Felane, and African Movie Academy Award winner Motusi Magano. The series was shot entirely in African languages. And in some more film news, Idris Elba's latest film Beast opened in theaters across North America, earning $11.5 million. Elba plays a father who travels to South Africa with his two daughters, and while in the savannah, he faces the titular predator in The Beast, a rogue, ferocious lion. Apparently, Elba's 20-year-old daughter auditioned to play one of his character's daughters in the film, but she failed to land the role because her chemistry with her father wasn't just right. According to Elba, she stopped speaking to him for 3 weeks after she lost out on the role. And in some music news, Nigerian singer Rema and Selena Gomez have a collaboration on the way. Gomez confirmed this on her Instagram stories, sharing a photo of the duo with a coming soon caption. Rema, who is currently on tour in the US, posted on Twitter, "LA gave me butterflies. Love you, Selena Gomez." And in more music news, Nicki Minaj, LL Cool J, and rising star Jack Harlow are set to host the 2022 MTV VMAs show, airing live from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. According to the announcement, the three MCs will announce the show's star-studded lineup of performers, presenters, and winners, taking a more innovative and unique approach to the traditional host gig seen in previous years. And now to some fashion news. The Victoria and Albert Museum in London is hosting an exhibition of African fashion that organizers say is the largest of its kind. The landmark exhibit, named simply Africa Fashion, promises to set a new standard on how the subject is portrayed in museums and art galleries. For VOA, Pasim Yohanan reports from London.
All imaginable colors from across the African continent are on display in the heart of London. The newly opened Africa Fashion exhibition is the largest ever to showcase the subject in Britain, and for the fashion creators involved, it's a dream come true.
The V&A has been so thorough and so rigorous in the way that the exhibition has been curated. For me, it gives a truer picture of what's happening within the fashion space on the continent than any other exhibition thus far.
It's an honor to be able to give a platform to the fashion creators in the exhibition and to the many people that have contributed to the show. It's very timely because the African fashion scene, the creatives within it, we think are shifting the geography of global fashions.
The exhibit at the Victoria and Albert Museum presents pieces from 25 countries by dozens of designers, stylists, and photographers. Under the surface, however, is another story about the interconnection of fashion and politics.
It's there in terms of semiotics or the symbols, the way that cloth can speak or communicate non-verbally, but also the power, the economic power of fashion and textiles to those newly independent nations in that moment of independence.
Jasinska says the exhibit demonstrates a real commitment to African arts by the Victoria and Albert Museum, an institution which, like many others, has had its failings with representing the continent in the past.
Up until maybe the 20th century, an element of perhaps lack of representation, perhaps misrepresentation, perhaps almost hidden in plain sight. The objects, the stories are hidden in plain sight. But I think what's exciting about the period we're in now is this acknowledgement, this willingness to acknowledge our colonial roots.
The Africa Fashion exhibition takes the audience from the past to the future, which looks to be bright.
the exhibition then sets a new standard of exhibition making about fashion on the continent. Hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to have an exhibition that is able to include voices from every single part and every single country on the continent.
The Africa Fashion exhibit at the Victoria and Albert Museum is scheduled to run until mid-April of 2023.
In the US, poet laureates are usually chosen at the national level, but smaller jurisdictions can name their own poets to inspire and represent their community. VOA's Faiza El Masri talks to a poet in Virginia about her journey and how her poetry helps people practice self-reflection.
Hello, ladies. How's everybody? And the mayor of Dumfries, the city of Dumfries, so yeah.
I'm Kim B. Miller. I'm a lover of words. Nobody wants to be silent, yet so many are. I'm the Prince William County Poet Laureate. I'm the first African American Poet Laureate for PwC. I'd say I really got serious about poetry about 10 years ago. I was writing poetry. Before that, I found some old love letters that I wrote and they were poetic, but they weren't really good. But when I got really serious about 10 years ago, it changed, the journey changed, because I was interested in the imagery and how it felt and how it sounded and how it could touch somebody and change people's lives. Poetry is an all-encompassing, beautiful thing that people kind of tend to overlook, but I look at it as a way of expressing pain, joy, happiness, and touching people with all your senses. Yes, we are that county where nature feeds beauty to diverse hues. Families of trees welcome visitors. Leaves bow, and the arts bloom endlessly on planted dreams. With over 40 local parks and one state park, parks breathe here. Put my application in. The application includes you including your poems with no names. So the purpose of that is everybody gets poems with no names so they don't know who they're judging. So they can pick a poem based on they just read it and loved it. And then I included my project or things I would be doing once I became Poet Laureate. And I sent my application in and I wish for the best. Please recognize your accomplishments or you will label them failures. You gotta be able to see you. And let me couple that with a Kimism. You will never count something as a victory that you did not count as a step. So when you're taking your resolutions and breaking them into plans and then breaking them into steps, you have to give yourself an acknowledgement for the steps you're making. I don't count it as a victory, but I need you to start counting your steps as a victory, because if not, you won't recognize them. You will never count something as a victory that you did not count as a step. Look at all you have on your plate and then expand it. If your dreams don't scare you, dream bigger.
Following a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic, an annual classic, antique, and unique car show is back. Veronica Villafane shares a glimpse of car history that attracts thousands of enthusiasts to the city of Glendale, California. Let's check it out.
Classic and antique cars of all makes, models, and colors, some dating back 100 years. They line up every year in downtown Glendale, California, taking up 5 blocks. Main Street becomes an enthralling avenue of automotive history, attracting some 60,000 spectators.
We have people from all over, from Arizona, Santa Barbara, that come out to the show, and it's just grown in popularity.
Patty Betancourt, Community Services Coordinator for the City of Glendale, shares how the yearly event called Glendale Cruise Night was born.
It started in 1994 in conjunction with the World Cup that was held in Pasadena, California, and we were trying to get some fans to come to Glendale.
It worked. Classic car owners flock to the city to exhibit their prized possessions, attracting classic and antique car enthusiasts.
So it's the original.
This is Jorge Chavez's 1936 Chevrolet. But this is what it looked like when he bought it. $20,000 and hundreds of hours later, it's his masterpiece.
This was something that's always been a dream of mine, especially with my family. We grew up in the culture. Being able to have a car like this is such a bucket list accomplishment for me.
For Chavez, car culture is a family affair.
It's just something that will stay in the family. In our culture, it's very important, and everything we do is to hand it down to generations to come. So this was my first build, and I cherish the build, and I'm really hoping that my son, right, I can hand it down to him and generations to come.
Some cars here are unique and exquisitely preserved, like this 1935 Mercedes, this 1950 Pontiac, and this shiny red 1956 Corvette. Then there are impeccable Chevys, Camaros, a caravan of trustworthy vintage VW Bugs, and luxurious Rolls-Royces. For Lona Aguirre, it's an opportunity to share her eye-catching car with others.
I love the murals because it represents my culture, the Mexican culture of Dia de los Muertos. It reminds me of all the people that have passed, and it reminds me of the joy and happiness we had before. And that's what makes me happy to share it with everyone.
The event also draws modified cars like this 70 station wagon, international collectibles, unique and wacky vehicles, some oddities, and as a bonus for family fun, cars from movies and TV shows like Miami Vice and Kit from Knight Rider. But most fans agree there's nothing like a beautiful classic car.
And we close the show with some music news. The self-proclaimed queen of Japanese hip-hop, Awich, has stories to tell, from discovering rap as a rebellious teenager in Okinawa to losing her husband to gun violence in America. And now drawing crowds at festivals and Tokyo's most famous live venue, she wants to inspire fans to embrace their stories. Let's take a look.
The 35-year-old, whose stage name Awich stands for Asian with Child, has been rapping since her school days and started out at underground clubs in Japan's southernmost region. But 2022 has been something of a breakthrough year for her. From the release of her first major label album, Queendom, to Vogue's shoots and a performance at Tokyo's famed Budokan. Born Akiko Urasaki to a teacher father and chef mother, Awich grew up in a huge old house surrounded by a cemetery.
Because Okinawa is a really spiritual place, they said, and I feel the spirit. So every time every night when I try to go to sleep, I feel something in my room. So I can't close my eyes.
Awich married an American man in Atlanta who was in and out of jail and died in a shooting when their daughter Toyomi was a toddler. The rapper is bold when speaking out about what's important to her. She has taken part in Black Lives Matter events and hits back in her songs at the idea that Japanese women should be kawaii or cute.
Women don't have to be one way or the other. You can be all of these things. You can be a mother and you can be sexy. You can be outgoing and intelligent. You can be you know what I mean?
On stage, she's composed but brimming with joyful swagger. Her sleek, long ponytail swinging behind her as she raps about the different energy that she brings to Japan's music scene.
Thanks for watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. For more entertainment news, check us out at VOAAfrica.com. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye everyone.